First of all, that is a real poster. I didn't edit it in any way at all. That is a real poster, by the way. But anyways, let's talk about the last DCEU movie, which is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And the plot for it is pretty much this. Several years after becoming king of Atlantis, Arthur Curry has married Mira and had a son, while splitting his life between land and sea. Meanwhile, David Kane continues to seek revenge against Arthur for his father's death. Alright, let's get into the good parts of this movie, and the first thing I'm going to say is that this is James Wan's most visually ambitious movie. There's a lot of just really nice shots in this movie, really nice camera movements, and you can tell James Wan's giving it his all in this movie. And in a way, he's trying to make up for the lack of script in this movie with a really nice visual style. The CGI and overall visuals for the film, like I said, are really good, although there are times where you can spot some bad points. This movie is pretty much a buddy adventure film with Aquaman and Orm, which is honestly the best part of the entire movie. Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson just play off of each other really well in this movie, and you can tell they've had chemistry over the past couple of years. And in a way, I kind of wish the whole movie was just about Aquaman and Orm going on some random adventures. Randall Park is in this movie, which is a surprise for me because he wasn't in any of the trailer footage. He wasn't in the premiere because there wasn't a premiere. And I feel like he's one of those actors that anything he's in, he kind of elevates the project. And although, once again, Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson are definitely the best part of the film, Randall Park's a close second. He plays a character that you've seen before, which is a character who's basically forced to help the villain even though they really don't want to, especially once they find out what the villain's actually doing. But speaking of the villain, I thought Black Manta was pretty good in this movie. The actual character in this movie was actually alright, but I think the performance by Yaha was pretty good. The character's motivation for the whole movie is literally, I want to kill Aquaman, that's it. Which is pretty much the exact same thing that he was trying to do in the first film. The next thing I want to say is that the fight scenes for this movie are very good. We don't get a lot of hand-to-hand combat in this movie, but when we do, they're all executed very well. And the one with Black Manta and Aquaman towards the end of the movie was amazing. But be prepared for that to end pretty shortly. The movie's pretty funny overall, but sometimes the movie is kind of unintentionally funny. There were certain moments in this movie where I feel like I was supposed to be kind of scared, but I actually ended up laughing. Jason Momoa gets most of the comedy for this movie, and I think for the most part he's pretty good, but at times it kind of felt like he was an off-brand Tony Stark. And since I'm talking about Marvel, let's actually talk about some of my criticisms for this movie. And my biggest problem with this movie is it kind of feels like an off-brand MCU movie as a whole. A lot of the characters are quipping like they're on the Avengers. The first Aquaman movie had this issue as well, but it wasn't as big of a problem. Another issue I had with the movie was actually some of the CGI sequences. Like I said, for the most part, this movie is visually stunning. It's not on the level of Avatar, but it is visually stunning. And I love the fight scenes for this movie, the hand-to-hand combat moments, but when the movie has these animals chasing after our heroes, it wasn't that interesting to me. The pacing for this movie is also an issue for me as well. I sat down to watch this movie, and it feels like by the time I sat down, the movie was already over. And that's just my example to show how quickly this movie went by, which mostly attributes to the weak script. The movie has a lot of ideas that I actually really like, but for whatever reason, they never actually address them that well. Like Aquaman is a dad in this movie, but once again, there's barely any scenes with his son. Aquaman and Mira's relationship obviously evolved since the last movie, but we have no scenes with them together, which I don't need to get into the reasons why, we all know why. And this is definitely an unpopular opinion, but I think Amber Heard getting cut in this movie definitely hurt it. The final act of the movie has a certain issue that all superhero movies have, which is the big CGI battle. The only good part of that was the Aquaman Manta part, and I guess you could even throw in the Orm part as well. And once again, the movie has a lot of great ideas, especially towards the end, but it doesn't execute. But the biggest issue I have with the movie is just the acting in general. It feels like everyone was self-aware that this movie wasn't going to be as good as the first one, and they just said whatever to it. I'm not saying that everyone in this movie is bad, but there are certain actors and actresses in this movie that are really bad. And once you spot exactly who those people are, whenever I personally saw them on screen, it just kind of took me away from the movie. So yeah, overall, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is definitely a disappointment, but with all the issues I had with the movie, I still really enjoyed it. So for my critic score for the movie, I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10. But for actual personal enjoyment, I think it's about a 7 out of 10 for me personally. So overall, if you're looking for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom to be the last amazing DCEU movie, that did not happen at all. But if you go into it looking for a fun, dumb adventure movie, I think you'll really enjoy it. Is it worth watching in theaters? Probably not, but I would say if you see it on HBO Max or whatever it's called, I think you should definitely give it a watch.